Again, thanks for coming, and we'll get started. Coach.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for coming out today. I appreciate the Texans letting y'all break away and come cover us for a second. But all jokes aside, I don't blame you. I think it's really fun to watch what they're doing across town right now. And great time to be a sports fan in the city of Houston, it looks like again this year. So it's going to be a lot of fun. This time of year is always exciting. If you're in the coaching business or if you're a player in this game, you know what fall indicates. And, it's in the coaching world, you have a really different transition. You go from being around your wife and kids a whole lot to goodbye, dear, football is here, and kind of jump in the submarine with your coaches and your team. And it's exciting. It really is. And I think that I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you about all the things that have happened in the offseason. Since we wrapped up our season against Old Dominion, it seems like it's been a long time, but it's been a really productive offseason as well, and largely because of our strength staff. And that's where I want to start. I want to start by talking about our head strength coach, Hans Straub, and his staff, which includes Jason Russell and Zach Warrench, and what they did with our football team this offseason was nothing short of incredible. They're bigger physically. We're better culturally. We've made so many jumps, and Hans is absolutely where it all starts there. And so I can't say enough good things about him and our offseason program. While we're talking about that, I come back and I get a chance to watch the conditioning test and kind of talk through some of that stuff with Hans and with the guys that were here all summer. And I get so excited, and I know that they're handing me the keys to this program back in really good shape. And that's exactly what it was. Bigger, faster, stronger, tougher, more mentally tough, which was such a big thing for us to address this offseason. We're currently 8 practices into training camp. We just had a big scrimmage that we just got off the field from about 2 hours ago, making some real strides in every phase. And, we still have a lot of growth to do in all 3 phases. But it's kind of the ultimate, like we're not where we need to be or want to be, but thank God we're not where we used to be. And I guess I would say that about coming into year 2 as well. Bringing back all 3 systems, really leaving those intact. I think when you talk to all the coaches in this room and all the players that were here last year, just the ability to be in the same system, to hear the same message talked, and to realize that we are singing out of the same hymnal day in and day out. And I think that's really good for the players, really good for the coaches. And it certainly allows me to be more comfortable in everything that we're doing. I feel like we are making big, big gains. Our players aren't worrying about anybody that we're playing, so if you try to ask them about a game that's 4 weeks from now, I hope they're going to tell you they're focused on the Rice Owls and getting better every single day, because that's what I'm talking to them about, and that's what it seems like they've done a great job of, is attacking the day, trying to be the best version of themselves every single day and improve. And I feel like we're doing that day in and day out. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the roster and how it changed since that last game against Old Dominion. We brought in 40 new people. 30 of them were high school seniors last year. 7 of them were graduate transfers, and 3 of them were junior college transfers. Of those 10 transfers, they're bringing with them 202 games of college football experience to our football team, and that's huge. There's been a lot of things when you integrate 40 people into your program that you worry about. Maybe in this case, I worried about for no reason, because the integration was really seamless. I was talking to our leadership council about it the other day. Those guys, those grad transfers, jumped right in and worked. They tried to be helpful, and our guys welcomed them with open arms. And so it's been a really good mesh in terms of bringing this team together in the offseason. I'm really pleased about what they've done. We've got a lot of good things to tell you about what's going on in this program, and I can't wait for you to hear it right now. We're going to bring up our offensive coordinator and associate head coach, Jerry Mack, first.
Good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank Coach Mike Bloomgren and the Rice administration staff for allowing me to work at Rice University. I think this has been a great opportunity for me and my family, and I'm very appreciative to everything that I've learned from this program and everything that the administration has allowed me to do. I think everything starts from last year to the end of the season in November, December. The transformation began when we beat Old Dominion in our last game. The end of the season on that caliber of note just kind of propelled us into the offseason. Being able to get 2 transfers in the system to come in the springtime is something unique and different. And whenever you get a chance to get the young people to come into your program at that kind of time, and you can kind of implement it into your system and the way you do things, is big. We brought in Arie Broussard, a transfer junior college wide receiver who led the nation in touchdowns from receptions. We also brought in Nick Leverett, who was an all-conference player 3 years in a row at North Carolina Central. And to get those guys in our program at that point in time has really helped their growth and helped our program. Then you start talking about the summertime, the things that we were able to do. Our player ran practices in the off-season, in the summertime. Also with our virtual reality program that we were able to put in, and those quarterbacks took growth in that. We brought in a couple of more guys in the summertime. Justin Gooseberry did Division II All-American from Ouachita Baptist, and Tom Stewart, who's an all-conference player at Harvard at the quarterback position. Those guys coming in the summertime was instrumental to everything that we do. Later on, we was able to add Brian Chafin, another transfer, offensive lineman from Stanford University, who Coach Bloomgren and Coach Ashfield had a chance to work with. It was a starter for those guys at times in his career. And also, too, bringing in Reagan Williams, another young man fullback, started at Stanford as well. So I think the goal right now, like Coach talked about, is just we have some experience on our roster. You guys got a chance to see us last year playing 21, 22 young freshmen across the board. And it was tough at times. But I think now when you start adding the guys that have more experience and those guys coming to your program and they're able to just have that experience and that knowledge of playing in games, how to prepare, how to be a pro, how to take the systems and showing other younger guys how to study is huge for us. At the quarterback position, obviously, we have Wiley Green that's competing with Tom Stewart and Evan Marshman for the starting quarterback position. We have some younger guys that's really developing, really coming along, and Parker and also Javante Johnson from true freshman that we brought in. At the running back position, we were able to bring in Charlie Booker, who's an all-conference player from Harvard. Charlie's done an outstanding job. We've been very impressed with his strength and the way he carries the ball and just that kind of maturity and strength level that he brings to the table. It's going to be a crowded room, but a very interesting room as we increase the competition and raise the floor across the board at every position. You look at the offensive line position, and you talk about the Brian Chafins and the Nick Leverett and the Justin Gooseberries. At times it was musical chairs back there last year with the offensive line. But now we feel like we are more stable and we have a better foundation with those guys. That's one of the positions up front that's very hard to do. Just hard to chemistry has to grow with that position because those guys are always changing. The X's and O's, like I always say, are always moving for those people up front. And the more they can get together, the more we're building that chemistry with that group is really going to help. You look at the wide receiver position. August Pete made some outstanding catches today in our scrimmage. And then Arie Broussard, like I said before, we've added to the equation. Austin Trammell has continued to be a rock for us at that position. Coach Best has done an outstanding job bringing those tight ends along. When you look at Jordan Meyers and Jonathan Sanchez, who's with us now, 6'7", probably one of the tallest guys that we have on the roster, just the things that he can do with the ball in his hands. And Jager Bull and also Robert French, who's a young freshman that's going to have an opportunity to catch some balls this year. So you can see across the board, we're just so much more experienced. Like Coach always says, everything is better in year 2. And I think right now we're reaping some of those benefits. It's not perfect by no stretch of the imagination, but one thing that we're doing is we continue to grow each day. And that's the thing we talk about offensively as a unit, trying to make those strides each and every day. Right now it's Team Rice. We're playing against our defense every day, so we're trying to figure out the best techniques and all the best schemes that we can develop to be good against our defense that will carry on into the season. Thank you.
All right, first I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Once again, echoing what Coach Bloomgren said, you guys got a lot of other opportunities and other responsibilities, so really appreciate you guys. I know the team does as well. I want to thank Coach Bloomgren for obviously trusting in me to coordinate the special teams this year, all 6 phases. Really excited to be able to build on what we've established in year 1 and hopefully make improvements and little tweaks and polish up little things. But, anytime you take something over, you look at the previous year, you evaluate what was good, you evaluate what you still need to work on, and obviously in special teams there's so many different parts about it that have opportunity to improve just because of the realm and the scope of everything that you're doing. I'll say this, when you're building a roster, like we're doing, and like Coach said, brought in 40 new people, one of the first places it shows up is on special teams, because so many guys are involved in the day-to-day process, whether it's offensive linemen on the PAT field goal unit or defensive linemen on field goal block, and obviously all the other emphasis in the areas of the return game where guys are playing in space. As your depth improves as a football team, it shows up quick on those areas. And obviously if you don't have depth, that shows up too. So as we are building this team, and these young guys have come in and really done a good job, I guess seizing the opportunity. It's really no different than talking about the Houston Texans. When they get new players, they make an opportunity and an impact on special teams, and it's no different at the college level. Those guys come out of high school, and they want to get on the field, and maybe they're not ready, or maybe there's more depth in their certain position, and special teams might be their way to get a seat on that plane or on that bus. So, I think that's a big deal as we're building this roster, like I said. Something else is just the competitive effort that each one of the guys gives in practice and in meetings every day. It shows up, because that's starting middle linebacker, or that's starting defensive end. Nobody's walking around bragging about being the starting gunner on the punt team or the number 6 on kickoff team. But I'll tell you, they have huge roles. And when Coach Bloomgren first got here and he established that special teams was going to be a big part of our it was going to be emphasized in turning this program in the direction that we want it to go. The players have really bought in, the effort, the attentiveness. I get an opportunity to meet with every one of them about 25 minutes a day in here in a team setting, which has been fantastic. So I couldn't be more pleased with their effort, and we obviously have to continue to improve, but we are headed in the right direction. The culture of your football team, I think, is also displayed on special teams. And, how's that PAT unit going to do? How are they going to react when they just gave up a touchdown? Are they going to go out there and they're going to do what they need to do, or are they going to just line up, let the other team kick the ball and walk off the field? So there's a lot of opportunity there in my little world to, I think, help build this thing. Talking about some of the players that we have, some we have back, some are new faces. Let's talk punters first. Chris Barnes, fantastic football player. He's played other positions before he became a punter, and he's got a big leg, strong leg, and absolutely does a fabulous job for us. Jack Fox was a fantastic punter for us last year in camp with the Chiefs, but Chris is going to do a good job. He sat behind him for a few years, and really excited to see him perform. And then we got a transfer, Adam Nunez, came from TCU, and Adam is very talented as well. He's got great accuracy. He really can place the ball where it needs to go, and has a great understanding for the game. So excited about both those guys in the punting world, because I come from a world where punt's not always a bad play. It's part of the strategy of the football game and pinning the defense deep. And I know Coach Smith, if he's got to make those guys go 90 yards to score a touchdown, odds greatly increase in our favor. So moving on to the snapper, obviously he's a returning starter, Cam Riddle, a fantastic football player. Really embraces his role, and a lot of people with those snappers, you don't realize how important they are until you don't have a good one. And he really does a fantastic job. He comes to work every single day with the right mindset, so just continues to carry on the culture in our room. And then the kickers, Will Harrison is a returner. Will, 2 years ago, handled a lot of the kicking duties, and kind of took a little bit of a backseat last year, but Will's going to be back competing for that spot with freshman Zach Hoban, who's come in. He's got a strong leg, and Zach's continuing to just learn the nuances of the position at the college level, and the speed and the operation time and the pressure and the rush and all that stuff that makes it a little bit different, at this level. So really pleased with the direction we are heading. We got a long way to go and a lot of work to do, obviously, like Coach said before that first game. But, the enthusiasm, the effort, and the attention to detail is there, and just really excited about this opportunity and the direction we're going. I'm going to introduce Coach Smith, our defensive coordinator.
Good afternoon. First off, I want to echo what Drew and Coach Mack said, and thank Coach Bloomgren for the opportunity to be here. A lot of great things going on at Rice University right now, and I'm just happy to be a part of this building process. Just talking a little bit about the defense, kind of taking off where we started, where we finished at the end of the season last year, going into the spring. I just wanted to build where we left off in the Old Dominion game, and just I've seen a lot of strides from the spring until now. Very excited about what we're doing on defense. It all starts up front with the defensive line. Miles Adams, he's the leader up front. Gives us a veteran presence. If you're a young defensive lineman, you want to watch technique and how it's done, just watch him. He's a guy that showed up in the film room as we did self-scout at the end of the year. He just showed up over and over again. Quietly just goes about and does his job. And he's done a good job taking over that leadership role this year with those young guys. Coach Cedric Calhoun has done an outstanding job with those guys. They're playing, really hard right now. And, we still got a long way to go. But, I like where we're at with that group. Anthony Ekpe is another guy in that group. He played outside linebacker last year. We moved him to the rush position this year. And so far in the spring, in training camp, he's done a really good job. He's got some pass rush skills. Really excited to see what he does during the year this year. Also, Elijah Garcia is another guy who had some playing time last year, who will be a returning starter this year, pushing for a starting position. Javante Hubbard's another young guy who played last year, got into the rotation, and he's having a good summer so far. And just, as a whole, defensively and recruiting, just wanted to raise the floor and bring in some guys that would compete and make us better. And I think we've done that. And also, just getting depth at every position is kind of what we've been looking to do. As far as the linebacker position goes, Blaze Aldridge, a junior college transfer that came in last year, got some playing time last year, has really taken off, transformed his body in the offseason. He takes it seriously. He had a good spring and kind of took over where he left off in the spring and continued to elevate and taking a leadership role as well. And we're looking for some good things from him. Antonio Montero is another guy who played as a freshman last year, who's gotten better. You can see his progress every day in terms of pass drops and his knowledge of the defense. And then Dylan Silcox, who also played last year. He was hurt in the spring, and he's come back in the summer, and he kind of took off where he left off. So just building some depth at that position has been good as well. Coach Vessel's done an excellent job with them. The cornerback position, Deangelo Ellis, returning senior, kind of went both ways last year. He played a little offense, was hurt the majority of the season, and came back the last few games and played well. He's competing for a starting position right now along with Andrew Byrd and Tyree Thornton. Iron sharpens iron. All those guys are coming out competing every day, and that was kind of a position of weakness for the defense last year. And this year, hopefully, we're going to turn it into a strength. And those guys are competing every day and making each other better and excited in the direction that they're going. And then in the safety position, George Naqual, returning junior. He's got outstanding ball skills and range back there as a free safety. He's also got some position flexibility. He's got good coverage skills in the slot, and he does some good things for us. Shawn Chamberlain is another guy, a freshman last year, who came in and played a bunch at the Viper position. Brings a physical presence to the defense, and looking for some big things from him. Hopefully, he can continue to progress in the direction that he was going, where he left off last year. And Prudy Calderon is another guy, freshman last year, led the team in interceptions, who's at that strong safety position. Naheem Smith is a guy who came in as a junior college transfer mid-year, and he's really, if you watch the scrimmage today, he had an interception today. He also brings a physical presence to the defense. He's done a good job picking up the system so far. Deshaun Newsome is another guy, Viper position. A bunch of guys at the safety position that are pushing for playing time. And again, it's raising the floor and allowing us to compete and get better. And I'm really excited at the direction that we're going as a whole, as a defense. We still have a long way to go, still have a lot to work on, but I think the potential is there for us to have a very good season. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Coach Mack hit on it and really did a great job talking about it. Right now, there's a few guys coming back that started some games for us, and Wiley Green and Evan Marshman, and those guys have gotten the bulk of the reps with the ones with the addition of Tom Stewart to that mix. Today, what I would tell you very simply is that the scrimmage really seemed to speed up the quarterbacks and their pre-snap mechanics and their ability to get us in the right play, which is so critical in our offense. So it'll be a great learning experience for all of us. They'll learn from the film, and I expect a week from today, scrimmage 2 to be a lot different for that position. And, again, I couldn't even tell you who's ahead right now without watching the film. It's close, but I am longing for the day when somebody will snatch that job by the throat and never let go. Yeah, I mean, I would love to have clarity in it yesterday, but I don't. And so certainly next week in the scrimmage and this body of work throughout this week will be critical in us trying to make that determination. We'd love to be at that point coming out next Saturday, but if we're not there, we're not there. Yeah, I think we talked about it after the first day in pads the other day, the impact of Charlie Booker and how nice it is to see his balance and his ability to break tackles. So we saw a couple glimpses of that today. Arie Broussard is always different with the pads on. That's what earned him a scholarship in the spring, is his ability to run through the trash and come out the other side. I thought Cam Montgomery had a great run. And then, again, like, we can't forget about Juma and Aston Walter. Aston is a guy that I am so thankful for in this program. He is absolutely a do-everything-right guy. He's what a 6-year senior should be. Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think anytime you play 21 true freshmen in a season, number one, I've never been a part of that, but what you saw was their ability to grow in the offseason and come into spring ball and know what it looks like, what it feels like in a game, and to make those growths and take those next steps in spring ball, I thought had tremendous value. Some of these guys, like there's a couple of them, like the fact that Wiley and Clay Servin are redshirt freshmen is like laughable in a really good way. They don't hold themselves or carry themselves like that. They have game experience, and they're performing like old vets. I have to remember that Clay Servant actually turned 18 last week. I mean, that's hard to believe in his redshirt freshman year. On the offensive line, we are definitely. I love this line actually, so I'm going to spit it back at you, Sam. Just like this great city we're in and the great university we represent, we are certainly under construction right now, right? Like every day, and every day is getting better. But once we can get the right 5, once that kind of takes form, whether it's the 5, the 6, or the 7, I'd love to have 8 offensive linemen we felt great about. Then I think those calls and the working together will I think it will increase rapidly. But it's certainly better than a year ago. It's better in the spring, and it's better than last week. But it's not where we need to be. Yeah, I think those guys had tremendous value. It was really interesting to me in our leadership council meeting the other day to hear the guys, number one, talk about how well they integrated, but also talk about how guys who have more experience than anybody in the system, and Brian Chafin and Reagan Williams walking in and starting to coach and help from the first day they were here. And honestly, that's music to my ears. That's part of the reason Brian and Reagan were such no-brainers for us, is we knew they could help the growth in the summer. And then, we hope they can strap it on and obviously do their jobs in the fall too. But they've been awesome, and they're not the only ones. Nick Leverett just having an understanding of a lot of these concepts coming in from his time with Coach Mack has been great. But you hear Brian Smith talk, and you hear about those 3 junior college guys on that side of the ball and the value they've had. But you look at offensively, and there's 6 grad transfers over there on offense, and it's got a chance to – those guys end up as the starter or in the 2 deep, those are going to help us, and their experience is going to help us. So it's all been positive. And again, the fact that I was so worried about how they would integrate with our team and it was seamless is just, again, such a testament to our players, our culture, and our strength and conditioning staff. exactly what you wanted to across the board. Competition makes everybody rise up, and it is the old iron sharpens iron. I think those things are real, and that's exactly what we've seen. Whether you see a grad transfer kind of rising to the top, or if you see them just pushing like crazy, because maybe they don't have the reps or the experience in the system, but everybody sees their talent. Everybody sees the way those guys work. It's been so valuable for our program. You know, in certain situations, absolutely. I think we always talk about matchups on offense. And so if this person is the best one for this role, we'll throw them in there. Absolutely. And it's not a stereotypical thing. I think the easy one to look at is see what an incredible athlete Javante is and just say, oh, well, you're going to throw him in there to run the ball. But he's got a howitzer front arm. So I don't think we'd ever just say he's going to go in the game to run the ball. And none of our quarterbacks are unfortunate athletes, luckily. So we'll be able to pretty much do the whole offense with whoever's in there. Yeah, I think first off, the best thing has been the staff and the continuity of the staff, keeping 9 of these 10 assistants. And you heard Drew kind of talk about taking over the special teams. And what I would say to you there, when we found out one of our coaches was leaving for another job, Drew was my first call. And I just asked him, I was like, hey, bud, what do you think? And he was kind of like hemming and hawing, like if you know Drew Sabota, he kind of does. And he was like, I think I still want to stay coaching offense. And so I gave him a day, called him back, and I said, so what about that special teams job? And he said, Coach, I was going to call you. I know it's how I can help our team the best and help advance our culture and touch everybody on this team. And it's so true. I wish I could do a Drew Sabota voice for you right now. I need Shawn Ellerby. If you ever get him, he does a perfect one. But what he has done to touch our whole team and affect our whole team, just him and Hans Straub, the value they have is outstanding. Absolutely. Bringing in 40 guys this year, 31 last year remained from the class of 33 that we brought in. So 71 people over the course of a 2-year period brought in, and then we got 100 on the team. And, somebody made the mistake asking me, so these 71 that you brought in, your guys, and we'll never get twisted with that. These 100 are our guys, and we love them, and we love the way they're working. But you're right, just the sheer numbers and being able to split practices and have position groups that look like position groups instead of just like stragglers over there on one end of the field has been awesome. But it is positive steps, Nate, and we're going to keep going. Like, we've got a great recruiting department. All of our coaches are working their butts off in recruiting. We're never going to slow down in that regard. And but again, I think it's great for our seniors. It's great for our guys that are in every play, and so maybe they don't have to be in every play of that practice. Yeah, if we're going to miss, we're going to miss with a trait that's hard to find, and one that we looked for in this class was length and athleticism. And we did a good job bringing those guys in, whether they're scholarship guys or walk-ons. And I think one of the reasons we can bring in walk-ons is our culture, and because we don't have a separate locker room for walk-ons. It's always going to be a meritocracy. I hope our guys don't know who's a walk-on and who's not in the locker room. They're treated exactly the same. So we brought in some really talented kids, and that whole hodgepodge of those 40 people from different backgrounds, it's a really cool group, and then throw them in with these 60 that were here, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, so you're talking about the positive response we're getting on the recruiting trail? Oh, it's been awesome. It's, there was a little bit, if you came in our first class, it was a little bit of sales, right? Like, this is our vision, come with us. But we always showed them a really clear roadmap, and so that I think those guys could trust us and realize the character of the staff that we brought in. But now, like, when people get around our team, when they get around the locker room, when they come visit, like, they get excited, and I get excited. Because we are in on some unbelievable recruits. We have some commitments from some unbelievable recruits. It's just an exciting time. I think we are getting contacted by more people across the country right now than we ever have. Whether we reach out to them first or they're reaching out to us to say, oh, yeah, I know I've got this offer and that offer, but I really like you guys. And that's really cool. Yeah, I think offensively, Zane Knight has caught everybody's attention. He moves at a different speed than most humans, and he is just flat out fast. The boy can run. And then on the defensive side, DeBraylon Carroll, it doesn't matter if he's in with the threes, the twos, or the ones. He's being impactful, and he is hard to deal with, hard to block, and it's hard not to look out there right now, whether it's in a special teams drill or even every opportunity he got on defense today and not notice Trayshawn DeVones. So those three stand out to me the most in terms of their body of work through this camp. But the coolest thing that probably happened was in our staff meeting 3 or 4 days ago. I asked the staff, are there any misses in the freshman class, anybody who doesn't belong in college football or in our program? So from a physical standpoint or a cultural standpoint, our coaches love every one of them, and we really believe they're going to be good football players and good student athletes here at Rice. I don't know, but we play Rice for the next week. No, I'm gonna give you a real answer. I'm sorry. We have a great plan. We're going to actually get our scrimmage in next week. We still have 2 more big installs on offense. Defense is pretty much done, but offensively we still have to install the red zone, and then we have to install short yards and goal line later in the week and get those situations in and make sure we are up to our level, our standard, if you will. Next Saturday at the scrimmage, everything's going to be live. There will be a red zone component to that scrimmage. There will be a short yards goal line component to that scrimmage. We're going to watch that film with a critical eye. We'll make our corrections. And that night, we are going to start attacking Army and start transitioning some of our practice and some of our attention to those guys. They are a pretty good football team. They deserve our attention. Yeah, without question. We had a chance to meet with some awesome staffs and talk a lot of defensive concepts. Coach Smith has a lot of friends in this business that gave us access, and I got to go on a couple of those trips and be a defensive coach for a day, so that was a lot of fun for me. So we started planning, February maybe March, and then got a chance to work it in spring ball, got to talk it and really have an install and talk about the base ways of playing it. And then this fall, like you hear, we're going to transition a whole week ahead of probably when you normally would. And again, that's one of the things that you always hear that's tough to play us, right? It's hard for a spread team to get in 23 personnel and teach their tight ends how to block that scheme in a week. And we hope so, but I promise you that Army system is hard to get a good look in a week. And so we're going to commit the time, and we've got a couple people that have knowledge of that offense, and we feel like we can really get that scout team humming, and that's what we're going to try to get done. I really do appreciate you guys coming over today. I hope that you'll come back every chance you get. Enjoy talking to our coaches, our coordinators, and certainly these great student athletes, and grab us if we can do anything for you. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Coach.